What's up, boys? So we're gonna do a quick glove review for the Gil Professional Mexican boxing gloves in lace up 14 ounce right here, as you can see on the tag. I know that's backwards because of the video, but anyways, um, I'll just get this out of the way. There's two things that annoy me about this glove that really annoyed me when I first got them. Those two things, ever since I've been using them over the past few weeks, I couldn't care less about. They were just something that initially off the bat, they frustrated me, but now these are quickly becoming one of my favorite pair of gloves that I currently own in my rotation. For reference, I have two pairs of Onyx boxing gloves, one in lace up, one in Velcro, 16 and 12 ounce respectively. I have a pair of twins. I have a pair of cows. I have another glove that I'm blanking on right now. Whatever, doesn't matter. It's not in my top, gloves I own. And I've also owned a pair of Boom boxing gloves. These gloves are quickly becoming one of my absolute favorite pair that I have. So let's show you them real fast. I got mine, like I said, in lace up from Nakali Boxing. I got it in this purple colorway with a black palm side and then white ribbon laces. So I guess there were three things that annoyed me now that we're talking about the laces when I first got them. When we first got them, I was annoyed with these ribbon laces. I thought these were going to be unwieldy, and I didn't see the advantage of them over normal laces. However, they operate perfectly fine. There's nothing inherently wrong with them, and especially now that I have my lacing loops hooked onto them. Yeah, I don't know why I was annoyed with them to begin with. I think it's just because before, when they weren't all scrunched up, they were just a little bit wider, like this. And so I thought that was going to get in the way. But as you use them, they narrow down. Not an issue. Second thing that annoyed me right off the bat, these are absolutely beautiful gloves, and they come with an oval patch. You can kind of see the outline of where that patch was on the back of the hand. Almost immediately upon using them, both of the patches peeled off. They just peeled right off. It looks like someone just kind of lightly heat pressed them across the back, but that fell off immediately. And when I first saw that, I thought that was an indication of the quality of gloves, right? I was looking at them. I paid like 180 or something for them from Nakali. I know Box Up Nation has them for about 160 right now. So I feel like overpaid for them. However, I like this colorway more than what was provided over at Box Up Nation. Anyways, that being said, I thought that this was going to be an indication of the quality, having this fall off pretty much immediately. That has proven not to be the case. It's purely an aesthetic thing. And from an aesthetic standpoint, I do think that it looks better with the Gil logo on the back of them. I wish the other pair didn't have them ripped off so I can show you in comparison. However, they look honestly just fine with it. They just have like a nice classic look at this point. Material usage, right? This has the best leather out of any pair of gloves I've ever owned personally. It's full cowhide leather. It is absolutely beautiful. It's super thick. I don't know if you can see in here. The grain is beautiful. It's not how do I put it? There's some like grains of leather that almost feel like a couch, like a really nice couch, where it's like really like wrinkly and bumpy and whatnot. This is not like that, even on the interior. The leather they use here is extremely well treated, very well fitted, and there's no baggy areas to it at all. You can kind of pinch a little bit of the leather, but it's very, very well formed, including within this these finger areas where the leather gets kind of scrunched up. Absolutely beautiful craftsmanship. Material usage A1. The stitching on these beautiful. I know it's a little bit hard to see black on black, but you can kind of get a look in there. Let's do this way so I don't get the shadow on it. This right here is just scrunched up from squeezing together. My laces wrap around right at that point, which is why this is bent in and whatnot. But absolutely beautiful lacing, beautiful craftsmanship. Nothing to complain about there. We of course have the Gil Professional logo on the back of the wrist right here, facing upside down, so that way it's upright going this way, and upside down when you face it like this, as a lot of traditional Mexican style gloves do. Yeah, so beautifully crafted gloves. Everything about these gloves just screams quality to me. The smell is still beautiful, you know, after weeks of usage. It still has that beautiful leather smell. Not nearly as strong as when I first opened the bag, of course. But man, they just scream homemade to me. Um, Fantastic quality. When we start looking at the shape of the glove, it has that traditional Mexican shape where a little bit wider up at the top, tapers down to the wrist, and then you get kind of like that upside down, like triangle kind of vibe going on right here, right? It has the padding is not really thick, and it is a latex foam padding. And I'll say this right off the bat, I wouldn't spar in these at all. I would feel like just a giant asshole, you know, cracking buddies in the face with this thing. I would absolutely love to fight in these gloves, but sparring is probably gonna be a no-go. But the latex padding, man. Uh, the reason that they're becoming one of my favorite gloves I have in my current rotation is because when hitting the bag specifically, it feels so damn good. The crack, the feedback, the punch surface, the way that, you know, it fits on my hand, like it's a big glove, but when it's like, you know, on, and the fist I'm able to make is nice and tight, the foam is not crazy big, so I don't feel disconnected from the bag at all. When I make a connection with the bag, it just feels so perfect, so beautiful, so natural. Fantastic pop, like I previously stated. The glove, the fist that you're able to make is nice and tight, nice and natural. My knuckles are sitting right underneath right here. Beautiful punch surface. The grip bar that they have going along the inside right there also is a very firm grip bar, right? It almost feels like it's like a rubber tube of some sort. You know, sometimes you get grip bars that are a little bit flimsy and not, you know, they're there, but it doesn't really feel like you're gripping onto anything. This right here, it fits perfectly right in these knuckles, and when I grip, it's just filling this little space right here, not down low, not too far up, and it just, like I said, it just fills that void when making a fist beautifully. To go along with that, when you stick your hands in the glove, you can feel right here, of course, where the leather connects. They have a nice piece of rolled leather that's in there covering up the seams, so you don't get any seams or any stitches rubbing against your fingers. And it almost acts as like a secondary grip bar because you're able to hook it with like the pads of your finger right here to really pull in the glove, and it just gives a nice, like, it just makes me feel like I have something to grip to pull everything in together, so that way this fist really comes in super tight and natural. The thumb is a little bit wide, but not uncomfortable by any means. It doesn't feel bulky, it doesn't feel out of position. My thumb currently is coming up and resting right about there is the end of my thumb. So I have a little bit of space. If I shove my thumb a little bit further in, I can touch the end, but once again, it's really comfortable. I have ample space in there. If I want to, I can, you know, move my thumb up and down. Not that that really matters, but it doesn't feel restricted. It feels like I can adjust my thumb position to where I want it personally. If I want a little bit of a hooked thumb, I can do that. If I want to leave it a little bit more up towards here, I can do that. Or I can tuck it down towards here. There's ample space in there to really move my thumb around. And the seam, the thumb seam right here, there we go. The thumb seam right here is beautiful. It's resting right here, right above the crease of my thumb. So not down here in the palm where it's like hitting on the meat, and not up here where it's kind of like cutting off when you keep trying to make a fist. It's sitting right there, right in the little crook of your thumb, and it's not tight, you know, like I can feel it resting against my thumb, but it's not pulling into my thumb. It's not causing any discomfort whatsoever. And just a beautiful fitting glove. It is a little bit wide in the hand compartment, as a lot of Mexican gloves are. Like I can shift my glove or my hand up, or I can shift it down. But when I really start like locking in, my hand is not moving within this glove, especially when I have wraps on. It's not like my hand is wiggling around like in some gloves. Like personally, I feel like in Fairtex gloves, in their Fairtex Mexican style gloves, my hand is just kind of swimming around in there, and I'm not a fan of that feeling whatsoever. It just doesn't feel good. That's not a problem that you're gonna find with the Gils. The Gils are very they just fit beautifully, right? They straight up, they just do. What I will say, which is kind of interesting, is this little patch right here that's covering the thumb. See how it kind of bumps up? The liner, I was looking in the glove, and the liner comes down through right here, but straight. Like, it just comes down all the way through. And the liner actually doesn't extend to this part right here. And you can actually stick your finger if you want to and like get in there, and you can feel the actual latex foam that they have padded right here. It has a little bit of latex, but there's like there's 2 layers of latex that we're dealing with, right? The outer layer, and then there's another layer that just extends right here over the punching surface, but it's not present right here. Your fingers and your hand never slide over there. It never, like I said, there's not a lot of motion in the glove. It's just kind of a weird thing that this is like a vacuum area, and right now, like, my index finger is sitting right in here, and I can feel, like I said, the latex padding that's in there, super dense, by the way, and whatnot. So I am a little bit concerned about the foaming being exposed right there, just in terms of like the foaming degrading over time with sweat building up in there. You know, just by having these gloves on, man, it feels like they're gonna be absolute tanks for years and years to come. You know, I don't see what's gonna, you know, really break them down. To be honest, like, the leather is super thick, the padding is super dense and, you know, and durable. It's just that one section there that I'm a little bit interested to see how that handles over time, whether the lacing, or not lacing, but the lining starts coming loose in that area or not. I don't know yet. But speaking of the lining, Mexican gloves, right? Sorry, early in the morning, gotta get the coffee. But Mexican gloves, sandpaper lining, right? Like, they're just always rough canvas, and it just feels like you're ripping up your knuckles whenever you crack some stuff with it, right? And these, I don't know if we can see too well, but it's like a nylon kind of lining here, and it's not bad when we're in right here in like the early sections of the glove. Like, right here, it's actually pretty soft throughout here. So the areas that are not going to be covered by your wraps down here in the forearm and whatnot, actually pretty soft, not uncomfortable at all. What starts happening though is once you get down to this section and the glove starts curving, you can feel like a distinct change in texture on the lining, right? It's like smooth up until about right here. It's nice and smooth and comfortable. And then as soon as the glove starts curving, you start feeling some wrinkles in the lining, and it feels like, you know, like when you glue something, sometimes, you know, it kind of like wrinkles up and deforms because of the moisture of it. That's what it kind of feels like to me. And it most definitely does have a much rougher feel on the actual punch surface itself, which, once again, when I first got it, I was a little annoyed with. However, upon using them, upon breaking them in a little bit, it's not uncomfortable. You know, once you get wrapped up, it definitely feels rougher, right? And I definitely have other gloves that are much softer, much more of a premium lining feel. But I'm gonna be honest, I actually kind of like that little bit of a ruggedness within like the punching surface, because I think it really fits the glove well. One of the reasons I decided to go with Gil and get a traditional Mexican styling glove is because I wanted that more of a puncher's style of glove. You know, something that's gonna be a little harder hitting, something, you know, with like a nice thick leather construction, super dense latex foam padding. You know, something that's gonna have more of that rough and tumbled kind of feel. And like I said, the lining, even though it's not the most comfortable lining I've ever had in the world, it fits this glove well. So from like a thematic standpoint, if that, you know, matters to you at all, I think it fits beautifully in here. I really do. One thing that some of the reviewers have been noting, and I do agree with them to an extent, is that even when like you kind of crank these laces together, you can see that there's a gap right there. My laces are fully closed right there and not the top because of the lacing loops, but there is a little bit of a gap, right? Once you crank this guy down and like really, you know, like crank your lacing loops down, there is still a bit of a gap in there. Like, you can still like stick your fingers, but it's not bad. It's not bad at all. Like I said, you can see I can pinch and get my fingers in here. So depending on your preference, some people I know like a super snug and like, tight fit all the way down their wrist for maximum wrist support. I am not too concerned about it personally. I actually kind of like how it's like that. I can wear like a long sleeve shirt and have it, go in there and fill that negative space if I really want to. But it doesn't feel to me that's really putting me at risk in terms of like not having good wrist support. The wrist support to me still feels more than adequate, personally. And from a personal standpoint, I'm not the biggest fan of having the most, locked in wrist where I can't move my gloves at all, right? Because the way that I like fighting and like boxing, I like playing a lot with hand control, with peeling guards, with like parent shots, and just having that little bit of extra mobility right there, I think is really beneficial. And so long as you're punching with correct form and correct shape, the wrist support really is just, in case you catch a weird angle, which is nice. And if you have kind of messed up wrists and whatnot, something to consider. However, when I say something to consider, that's not saying that, it's flopping around. Like, it's still good level of wrist support here. And offers me the mobility that I want personally to play my game. So it's not a negative, just something to kind of consider there. So one of the things that did, like I said, there's like 3 things that annoyed me about the glove at first. But over time, I don't mind as much. These gloves, 14-ounce gloves, right? Immediately upon grabbing them and picking them up, I knew for a fact they weren't even close to 14. Like, there just wasn't a chance. They're heavy as sin, and they are heavy gloves. I watched C Squared, that boxing reviewer. I watched his review on these, and that's actually what sparked me to get these gloves. I watched his review as well as Fit to Box. And they both got 16-ounce gloves, and both of their gloves weighed around like 18 ounces. So I was thinking, okay, 2 ounces over. If I get a pair of 14s, they should weigh around 16. That should be pretty good, right? I got these, and lo and behold, 18 ounces for the 14s. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on in terms of how their glove labeling is going. I don't know. I don't have a pair of 16 ounces, so I don't know if like the glove compartment is any different, like if the sizing is any different whatsoever. But I mean, the 14 ounces that I got and the 16 ounces that they reviewed weighed in the exact same, which leads me to kind of believe that they're just, throwing on a different tag on the same gloves and just calling them different weights, which, like I said, it annoyed me because I was, 16 to 18 ounces is a 2 ounce difference. A Mexican gloves tend to run heavy. That's understandable. But 14 to 18, that's a totally different class of gloves. I was looking to utilize this more as a pair of pad and bag gloves. And so I wanted a little bit lighter of weight. And just having them be up at 18, like I said, at first I was annoyed with it. And I didn't think I was going to get really good feedback on the bag just because they'd be so heavy. But once they're actually on and like you're throwing, man, I don't feel the 18 ounces personally. They are heavier. That is unavoidable. But the way that they fit on your hand, the thickness of the padding and the way it lands, it doesn't feel like I'm, have this giant, fucking thing on my hand. It really doesn't. And like I said, the more I use this glove, the more I appreciate it and the more I enjoy it. Like, these things are a work of art, honestly. They didn't weigh what they were advertised. And my patch is no longer here, but man, they're an absolute treat to use. They're a lot of fun, and I'm really, really enjoying it. I don't know if you guys can see. By the way, this right here is just from the lacing loop. This isn't part of the glove, that little strand, so that has nothing to do with the glove. I do have a small amount of fraying here. You can see on the thumb attachment, on the side of the thumb attachment. So I'm a little bit curious to see how that develops. It looks like it's just on the side of it, and so structurally the lace attachment still looks solid. It doesn't look like this is going to be something that's going to cause an unraveling of the glove. Something to note though, Speaking of the thumb attachment, actually, it might be a little bit hard to see, but the sizing of the thumb attachment is actually different between right and left glove. The right glove has a little bit longer of a thumb attachment, whereas the left glove, as you can see, is a little bit smaller. Not something I'm overly concerned about, because once they're on hand, you can definitely tell that I can open up this one a little bit more than the other one, and you would have loved to see a more of a uniform thumb attachment between the two gloves. However, once you start considering the fact that these are more of a custom glove made in a smaller manufacturing setting, I don't mind it. Again, like a lot of these gloves, a lot of the things that I have with this glove that are like little nitpicky issues were like nitpicky issues that I had prior to really getting into the glove and using them. But now that like I've utilized the glove, they've solidified their place in my rotation. Those little nitpicky issues are just that, they're nitpicky, but they really don't detract from my enjoyment of the glove. They don't detract from how I rate these gloves and where I put them within my lineup. They're just little quirks about the gloves that if anything, give it more characteristics. I know when you're looking to buy a premium glove, you want everything to be perfect, and whatnot. But they're really not a factor to me. It's really not a factor to me. There were some other gloves that I got recently, the Boons that I had, that had some small things that kind of annoyed me, and for whatever reason that detracted from my appreciation of those gloves more than these. And I think that's because those are like factory made gloves, right? Like they pumped out, whereas these being more one-off gloves, those little things almost give you a little bit more character, in my opinion. Take that for what it's worth. To you, that might be kind of a deal breaker, where poor quality is poor quality, and poor quality control is what it is. But I don't feel like it's poor quality at all. I think these are some of the best gloves I've thrown on my hands, and I really am looking forward to just utilizing them for my heavy bag gloves. That's actually a good segue. No, not a good segue, but it's a segue, right? Because that's really what these gloves have become for me. They are purely a bag glove for me. Like I don't even really use them for pad work personally, just because they are heavy. I prefer using some lighter weight gloves for pad work. Like I have a pair of 12 ounce lace up Onyx that are my pad only gloves, and I was using them for bag work as well until I got these, and now these I've replaced them as my bag work gloves. And I would not use these for sparring because of the way that the foam padding is. It makes for fantastic feedback on the heavy bag. However, on your training partner's face, it wouldn't be the best. I would imagine he'd be sending people home with some black eyes and the noses that are less straight than they were before. I would absolutely love to fight in a lighter pair of these gloves, because like I said, the punch feedback is fantastic. However, in terms of training and that stuff, I don't think so. So they're purely a bag glove for me. And in that position in my lineup, I think they're fantastic. Now that being said, if you're looking for an all-around glove to use, if you really enjoy the Mexican styling of gloves, I think these are some of the most premium gloves that you can get. You can customize them all you want through Box Up Nation's website. There's, I haven't tried the Velcro pair, which I'm a little bit interested to try out. However, if I'm just going to be fitting them in as a back glove in my rotation, I don't know if I actually really want a pair of Velcros. I think that a pair of lace-ups is really the way to go there. So I'm toying around with the idea of getting one, but I haven't pulled the trigger on it yet. But yeah, absolutely fantastic glove. Just be mindful of why you're getting this glove. If you're looking for a hard-hitting Mexican style glove, if you're looking for something for bag and possibly pad work, I'm not saying that you can't use it for pad work. I'm just saying that I prefer a lighter glove for pad work. If you're getting it for those reasons, I think this is one of the best gloves on the market. I'm extremely satisfied to own one, and like I said, a beautifully crafted glove. I just wish that the logo on the back of the hand stayed on. I just wish that it was weighted as advertised, and whatnot. But those two things really don't detract from my enjoyment of the glove. If I were to give like a numerical rating, I would probably have to take that into account, just because if we're talking about numerical, then we're talking about a purely objective scoring system. But if we're talking about like my subjective enjoyment of the glove, beautiful. Gil Professional, some of my favorite gloves in my rotation. Highly recommend.